What are the pros and cons of a short sale? All right, guys, we are going to talk about short sales, the pros, the cons, what it is, and so much more. Thank you for being with me, and thank you for this question. This question came to us from one of our listeners and subscribers, and if you've got a question you'd like to have me answer, type it in the comments below, and I'll create a video just like this for you and all of our other amazing YouTube subscribers. All right, let's talk about short sales and what they are. And I think this means we got to get over to the whiteboard because short sales are kind of interesting. What a short sale basically means is that the bank is selling the property for short of what's owed. Okay, so let's just take this little property here. Here's our house. And let's say that Jim and Sally own this house. And Jim and Sally owe $150,000 on this house. We want to make these numbers right. But guess what? The house, maybe this was in 2008, values came down, they crashed. Let's say the house is only worth $100,000, but Jim and Sally owe $150,000. So Jim and Sally are getting foreclosure notices. Jim and Sally are getting late pay notices. Jim and Sally are getting behind on payments. And that's really important because the banks are not going to do a short sale unless they're behind on payments. Now, what happens here is Jim and Sally want to be responsible, so they put the property on the market and they put the property for sale. Let's put a little for sale sign out front, right? So we got this little for sale sign out front. And what happens is Jim and Sally end up getting an offer for $100,000. What Jim and Sally do is they work with their real estate agent and they go to the big bad bank and they say, hey, bank, we know we owe you $150,000, but guess what? This house is not worth it. It's only worth $100,000. And we've had it on the market, and we've been looking for some buyers, and guess what? We have a buyer that will take $100,000. The bank does not own the property. Jim and Sally own the property, but the property is in the process of foreclosure. And so they go to the bank, and the bank does their calculations, and the bank says, well, is it going to be cheaper for us to take this, or is it going to be cheaper for us in losses to end up foreclosing, take the property back? Keep in mind they're going to have attorney's fees, and keep in mind they're going to have resale costs with agents and everything else that will come into this. And so then the bank does their little calculations. When they're done with those calculations, if they want to move forward, they're going to either, if they don't move forward, they'll just do denial, or if not, they will do a payoff. And that payoff will be for a reduced amount. Now, this is where we get into some of the pros and cons of the short sale. As a buyer, if you're buying a short sale, it really doesn't matter as long as you're closing with a title company or getting the price you want. It really doesn't matter. So I'm assuming this question really goes back to what does it mean for Jim and Sally? Well, it depends on what this payoff letter says, because it can go one of two ways. Number one, the banks can say, we'll take it as payment in full. They're going to say, you know what, guys, we'll take this. It's payment in full. We're good. You don't owe us anymore. Or they're going to come back and they're going to say, hey, you still owe us money, and we can come after you. We can sell the debt. And a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people did short sales and there was money that was actually owed to them, and then they end up having to work out with a bank. Now, even if they do owe money, lots of times this becomes unsecured and can get sold for a lot less money. Let's say Jim and Sally owed $50,000. The bank may sell that loan and they may settle for $5,000. So I think it's still a better situation for Jim and Sally. However, it is going to show on the credit report, which is one of the cons, is you are going to see on your credit report, it is going to show that you have the late payments, and it may say there was settled less than full, which will hurt your ability in getting a new loan in the future. So that's just something you need to be aware of when you're dealing with that short sale. That's something that needs to be taken into consideration. So if you like this video so far, please hit that thumbs up button. It tells me I'm doing a good job, and I like to do a good job and make amazing videos for you guys. Okay, so the question really is what are the pros and cons here? Right? So one of the pros is Jim and Sally no longer own this house, and they don't have the expensive payment, and they don't have to deal with that. One of the other pros is if they get that as payment in full, then they can walk away. So there's just some big pros for Jim and Sally when we're dealing with that. Now, what are some cons? Well, some cons are you're going to have a hit on your credit, but you probably did anyway in order to do the foreclosure. So it may say settle less than full. And another con is you may be responsible for owing the money. But the great news is this isn't a guess. if you're going to be responsible for owing the money, you will know that when you get the payoff letter. And at that point in time, as a seller, if a short sale, you can say, not interested, I am not going to move forward with this. And you can just call it good at that point in time. So those are some of the pros and cons you're going to be dealing with when it comes to a short sale. Now, if you'd like to get a copy of my book, How to Get More Money You Can Never Handle, Real Estate Investors Guide to Funding Deals, you can buy it at Barnes & Noble, Borders, wherever, but I will send you a free electronic copy if you text me your email address to 435-294-0433. Also, I've got a video on how to buy a short sale with cash. You're going to want to check out that video. I'll link it here, as well as a blog post on how to do a short sale. I'll put that in the comments below. Now, if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing and make it a very profitable day. Bye for now.